Until that evening, Adriana Bennett had believed a person could escape the sins attached to a family name. At 24, she had built a life that seemed untouched by crime. She worked as an investigative journalist, volunteered with humanitarian organizations, and used her voice to expose injustice rather than create it. Her quiet apartment, modest routines, and charitable work were far removed from the dangerous world her mother had spent years warning her about. Powerful families hide their darkest secrets behind wealth and respect. Her mother had often said. Adriana had never understood those words. Her father, Nathan Bennett, had disappeared when she was a child, leaving behind no explanation, no farewell, and no trail that the authorities could follow. Her mother had raised her alone, refusing to answer questions about Nathan's past. But the Bennett name had never stopped following Adriana. People whispered when they recognized it. Wealthy donors watched her with suspicion. Sources sometimes refused to speak with her after discovering who her father was. Adriana had spent her entire life being judged for the actions of a man she barely remembered. Now, the most feared man in America had come to judge her himself. The charity event was being held at an exclusive vineyard estate in Napa Valley. Golden hills stretched beneath the fading sunlight. Olive trees bordered the stone pathways, and rows of vines glowed beneath an amber sky. Guests drank expensive wine, while musicians played near the terrace. No one noticed the armed men quietly taking positions around the estate. Adriana noticed. She had felt someone following her for weeks, a black car outside her office, unfamiliar footsteps behind her apartment, silent telephone calls that ended whenever she answered. She had convinced herself it was connected to one of her investigations. Then Adrian Valenti stepped onto the terrace. Conversation died around him. The Mafia Don controlled criminal networks and legitimate companies across the country. He was intelligent, disciplined, and merciless toward betrayal. Men twice his age lowered their eyes when he passed. He stopped directly in front of Adriana. "Where's Nathan Bennett?" Her pulse tightened, but she refused to retreat. "I don't know." Adrian's expression remained cold. Decades earlier, the Bennett and Valenti families had been allies before Nathan allegedly betrayed Adrian's father, stole confidential family documents, and caused the death of Adrian's younger brother. "You expect me to believe his daughter knows nothing? I was a child when he disappeared." Something flickered in Adrian's eyes, but it vanished before she could understand it. "Investigate everything," he ordered his men. Her education, her work, her childhood, every missing day. That night, fear drove Adriana into her mother's locked storage room. Beneath old clothes and faded letters, she found a photograph hidden inside a wooden box. Her mother stood beside Adrian Valenti's father. They were young, smiling, and holding hands. Across Napa, Adrian received an anonymous file containing Adriana's childhood records. Dates had been changed. Hospital documents had been replaced. Even her original registration of birth had vanished. For the first time, Adrian wondered whether his revenge had been built upon a lie. He opened the final document recovered from Nathan Bennett's abandoned records and stared at the birth certificate inside. Adriana Bennett was not Nathan's daughter. She was a missing heir of the Valenti bloodline. The truth hidden inside the forgotten records changed everything Adrian Valenti thought he knew about revenge. For years, he believed Adriana Bennett was the last connection to the man who destroyed his family. But the deeper he searched, the more he discovered that her entire identity had been carefully buried. Someone had not abandoned Adriana. They had erased her. Adrian followed the trail away from the cities controlled by his empire and into a quiet mountain town in Colorado. Surrounded by snowy peaks, endless pine forests, frozen lakes, and empty roads, the town appeared untouched by the violence of powerful families. But beneath its peaceful surface were secrets that had survived for decades. Inside an old family archive, Adrian found documents connecting Elena Bennett to the Valenti bloodline. Adriana's mother had not been a stranger to his family. She had once been part of their world before the war between the two families destroyed every bond they shared. The discovery forced Adrian to question everything. Adriana had been born before the Mafia conflict tore both families apart. Nathan Bennett, the man she believed was her father, had not been her biological father. He had taken responsibility for protecting her after Elena disappeared, changing Adriana's records and hiding her true identity from anyone who could use her bloodline as a weapon. Someone had wanted the Valenti heir to vanish forever. The most disturbing revelation came when Adrian discovered the order to erase Adriana's existence had not come from the Bennett family. It came from someone inside his own organization, a person who feared what would happen if the missing heir returned. Meanwhile, Adriana learned that Adrian had been investigating her entire childhood. Instead of feeling protected, she felt betrayed. Her life had been controlled by secrets, and now the man hunting her claimed he was searching for the truth. "You don't get to decide who I am," Adriana told him. Adrian remained silent because, for the first time, he understood she was right. Her identity was not a weakness. It was the one thing everyone had been trying to steal from her. Adrian finally revealed that her connection to the Valenti family could change everything. She was not just a woman carrying a dangerous surname. She had legal rights over a portion of the Valenti empire, including companies that had been protected for generations. But Lucas Moretti, Adrian's most trusted advisor, warned him of the consequences. If the world learns she is a true heir, every enemy we have will come for her. His warning became reality. Rival families began searching for Adriana after rumors spread that the missing Valenti heir had survived. The woman who had spent her life trying to escape her father's shadow suddenly became the most valuable person in the criminal world. Adriana stood in the middle of a truth she never asked for. Her childhood, her family, and her future had all been built around a secret she was never allowed to know. Then Adrian received an encrypted message from an unknown enemy. The warning contained only one sentence. The hidden Valenti heir must disappear before she claims her inheritance. The warning changed the rules of the war. Adrian Valenti had spent years hunting anyone connected to the Bennett name. He had destroyed alliances, ended rivalries, and built his empire on one belief: betrayal deserved punishment. But now, the woman standing at the center of his enemy's legacy carried a blood that could determine the future of everything he controlled. Adrian moved Adriana to a private island mansion near the Florida Keys, far away from the enemies searching for her. Surrounded by turquoise waters, towering cliffs, palm trees, and hidden beaches, the estate was impossible for outsiders to reach without permission. To Adrian, it was a fortress. To Adriana, it was another prison. She refused to trust him. Every luxury around her reminded her that her freedom depended on the same man who once threatened her. She questioned every decision, every security measure, and every person Adrian allowed near her. But Adrian never demanded her loyalty. For the first time in his life, he protected someone without expecting anything in return. When rival forces attempted to reach the island, Adrian's men stopped them before Adriana even knew she was in danger. He placed his own power between her and the violence surrounding her. Slowly, Adriana began seeing a side of Adrian the world never knew. Behind the criminal empire was a network of legal businesses that provided jobs for thousands of families. Construction companies, investments, and organizations operated under the Valenti name, supporting communities that depended on them. The truth was more complicated than the monster she had imagined, but enemies did not care about the truth. Damian Cross, one of Adrian's most dangerous rivals, wanted control over the Valenti assets. He understood that Adriana's arrival threatened his plans, so he began spreading rumors that she was manipulating Adrian to steal his empire. Soon, Mafia leaders questioned Adrian's judgment. They believed he had become weak, protecting the daughter of a former enemy. Adrian ignored their doubts. Meanwhile, Adriana focused on discovering what really happened to Nathan Bennett. Searching through the hidden information recovered from her father's records, she found evidence that changed the entire story. Nathan had not been a traitor. He had been investigating corruption within both families and collecting proof against powerful people who wanted the truth buried. Adrian realized a man he had hated for decades might have been framed. The discovery forced them into an alliance neither of them wanted. They worked together, following clues that led deeper into the secrets of their families. Their hatred slowly became replaced by an uneasy understanding. But every answer created a more dangerous question. While searching through Nathan's hidden documents, Adriana discovered something that made her blood turn cold. Her mother's disappearance might not have been caused by enemies outside the Valenti family. The people Adrian trusted most could have been responsible. Then, beneath layers of forgotten records, Adriana found a sealed letter written by Nathan Bennett. It was addressed directly to Adrian Valenti. With trembling hands, she opened it and read the first line, "Your daughter survived." The words inside Nathan Bennett's letter changed the meaning of an entire war. For decades, the Valenti and Bennett families had destroyed each other over betrayal, revenge, and hatred. Generations had suffered because of one belief. Someone had stolen from the Valenti family and caused the death of Adrian's younger brother. But what if the foundation of that hatred had been built on a lie? Adrian and Adriana traveled to Nathan's hidden desert property in Arizona, a forgotten mansion surrounded by endless golden landscapes, towering red cliffs, and ancient caves carved into the mountains. The isolated location had protected secrets for years, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover them. Inside the mansion, they discovered more than old memories. They found evidence. Financial records revealed connections between both families and a larger organization that had secretly benefited from their conflict. Money had moved through hidden accounts. Businesses had changed ownership, and powerful outsiders had profited every time the Valenti and Bennett families attacked each other. The war had never been about revenge. It had been about control. Nathan Bennett had discovered the truth and tried to expose the people manipulating both families. That was why he disappeared. He was not running from guilt. He was running because he knew the truth could get him killed. For Adrian, the discovery was devastating. The man he had hated for years had been fighting against the same enemies Adrian believed he was serving justice against. Even worse, Adrian discovered his own father had also been manipulated. The decisions that destroyed their family had been influenced by carefully planted lies designed to create permanent hatred. The person who created the war understood one thing perfectly. Divided families were easier to control. Behind the conspiracy stood Damian Cross. He had secretly worked with the outside organization, using the conflict between the Valentis and Bennetts to weaken Adrian's empire and prepare himself to claim everything left behind. But revealing the truth came with a price. Older Mafia leaders refused to accept Adriana's position. They believed a woman with no criminal history could never control the Valenti legacy. She was hidden from this world for a reason, they argued. Adriana did not answer with anger. She answered with proof. She studied the financial records, exposed missing transactions, and connected years of hidden activity with a precision that surprised even Adrian. She showed that intelligence, not violence, had built the strongest empires. For the first time, Adrian stopped seeing Adriana as someone he needed to protect. He saw her as someone capable of standing beside him, a leader, a rightful heir. But their victory was incomplete. Deep inside Nathan's hidden collection, they discovered one final document sealed away from everyone, including Adrian. The file contained the name of the person who had destroyed both families. And when Adrian opened it, he realized the architect of their suffering was someone he had trusted more than anyone. For the first time in decades, Adrian Valenti knew the enemy had never been outside his walls. The person who destroyed his family, manipulated his father, and fueled a war between two bloodlines had been standing beside him all along. Adrian and Adriana traveled to a luxury forest lodge in Oregon, surrounded by endless rivers, powerful waterfalls, giant trees, and mountains covered in mist. The peaceful landscape felt impossible compared to the storm surrounding them. Yet hidden inside the quiet wilderness were the final answers Nathan Bennett had fought to protect. Adriana examined the financial records they recovered from the conspiracy. Hidden transfers, secret payments, and private accounts revealed a shocking pattern. Money had been moving through Valenti businesses for years, quietly supporting the people responsible for destroying both families. The evidence pointed towards someone Adrian trusted completely, his closest ally, the person who had stood beside him during battles, advised him during difficult decisions, and earned his loyalty through years of service had secretly been working against him. Adrian struggled to accept the truth. Trust was something he rarely gave, but when he gave it completely. The betrayal was not just a threat to his empire. It was a wound deeper than any enemy attack. Meanwhile, Damian Cross saw his opportunity. With Adrian distracted by the revelation, Damian began moving against the Valenti organization. He convinced powerful figures that Adrian had become weak because he protected Adriana instead of eliminating her. But Damian underestimated her. Adriana was no longer the woman running from her family name. She understood the empire, the enemies, and the secrets hidden beneath decades of violence. She had become the biggest obstacle between Damien and complete control. That made her his primary target. When an attack threatened to destroy everything Adrian had built, he made a decision that shocked everyone. Instead of protecting his power, he sacrificed it. He abandoned important positions, lost the support of several allies, and placed his own empire at risk to keep Adriana alive. For years, Adrian believed strength came from control. But Adriana showed him something different. Revenge does not bring back the people we lost, she told him. It only creates more people who need to be saved. Those words changed the way he saw their battle. The woman he once hunted was now the only person he trusted completely. Their relationship transformed from enemies bound by hatred into partners united by the truth. Together, they began rebuilding what their families had destroyed. But the traitor still held one final secret. During a confrontation inside the lodge, the betrayer revealed that Adriana's inheritance was not the salvation everyone believed it to be. It was created for a different purpose. A purpose that would change everything. The traitor looked at Adriana and delivered the final warning. Her inheritance was never meant to save the Valenti family. It was designed to destroy it. The revelation inside the Oregon Lodge changed the future of the Valenti Empire forever. For generations, power had belonged to those who controlled through fear. Violence created loyalty. Secrets protected influence, and enemies were eliminated before they became threats. But the person everyone underestimated was about to rewrite the rules. Adriana Bennett arrived at a luxury mountain resort in Montana, surrounded by snowy peaks, endless forests, and towering glass buildings reflecting the cold winter sky. It became the place where the future of the Valenti family would be decided. For years, everyone believed Adrian Valenti would control the empire until his final breath. They were wrong. Adriana claimed authority over the legal Valenti assets connected to her inheritance. She stepped into boardrooms where powerful leaders had spent decades making decisions without consequences. Many challenged her immediately. They questioned her experience. They questioned her loyalty. Most of all, they questioned whether a woman who had lived outside their world could lead one of the most influential families in America. Adriana listened. Then she answered with action. She refused to rule through fear because she understood what fear had already done to both families. It had created enemies, destroyed trust, and allowed corrupt people to hide behind loyalty. Instead, she began removing the members who had used the Valenti name for personal gain. She exposed illegal activities, replaced dishonest leaders, and rebuilt the organization around accountability rather than intimidation. Some called it weakness. Adrian called it the future. For the first time, the Don who had once controlled everything stood beside someone else's decisions instead of making them alone. He supported Adriana because he understood something the old leaders refused to accept. True power was not proven by how many people feared you. It was proven by how many people trusted you. But Damien Cross refused to surrender. Knowing his empire was collapsing, Damien launched his final attack. He attempted to expose Adriana's past and convince the remaining leaders that she was destroying everything the Valenti family had built. However, Adriana was prepared. She revealed Damien's hidden financial crimes, his connection to the outside organization, and every betrayal he had committed against both families. The evidence left no room for doubt. The same people who once questioned her leadership now saw the truth. Adriana was not an outsider trying to steal the Valenti legacy. She was the heir who had returned to protect it. Slowly, the family accepted her authority. Even the oldest leaders who once refused to respect her recognized that the empire was stronger under her guidance. But the battle was not completely over. During Damien's final attempt to escape, he revealed one last secret designed to destroy the fragile trust between Adrian and Adriana. He looked at her and smiled. Ask Adrian why he never told you the truth. Adriana froze as Damien delivered the final revelation. Adrian had known she was his daughter long before he admitted it. The secret Damien revealed was the one Adrian Valenti had spent years trying to avoid. The powerful Don who had built an empire through control had been powerless against one thing: the fear of losing his daughter a second time. Adrian took Adriana to a coastal fortress in Maine, surrounded by towering ocean cliffs, crashing waves, a distant lighthouse, and skies filled with approaching storms. Away from the voices of the family and the pressure of the empire, he finally told her the truth. Adriana was not just connected to the Valenti bloodline. She was his daughter. Years ago, before the war between the families destroyed everything, Adrian had a child with Adriana Bennett. When enemies discovered the existence of the heir, both families became targets. To protect Adriana, Elena and Nathan created a plan to hide her identity. Nathan took her away. Records were changed. Her entire childhood was rewritten. Adrian spent years searching for the child he believed had been taken from him, never realizing that the little girl he was searching for grown into the woman standing in front of him. The truth should have brought them closer. Instead, it created a deeper wound. Adriana felt betrayed. She had spent her entire life believing she was abandoned by her father. She had carried the pain of being unwanted, only to discover that the man who hunted her had known the truth before she did. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. Adrian had faced enemies with less fear than he felt hearing those words. Because the truth was simple. He was afraid. After losing Elena and believing he had lost his daughter forever, Adrian feared that revealing everything would push Adriana away. He thought protecting her from the darkness of his world was the only way to keep her alive, but he failed to understand that secrets could create a different kind of pain. Before Adriana could decide what to do with the truth, enemy forces attacked the fortress. The storm outside became a reflection of the battle inside. Adrian and Adriana fought together for the first time, not as enemies or strangers, but as family. They moved with the same determination, protecting each other against the people who wanted the Valenti bloodline destroyed. During the attack, Adrian had the chance to secure his empire's future. Instead, he chose Adriana. He abandoned the opportunity to eliminate a rival and risked everything to save his daughter. That choice proved more powerful than any position of authority. After the battle ended, Adriana finally understood something important. The past could not be changed. The years they lost could not be returned. But they could decide what happened next. She could not erase the pain Adrian's secrets caused, but she could accept that his fear came from love rather than betrayal. As the fortress grew quiet, Adriana searched through belongings her mother had left behind. Hidden inside an old journal, she discovered one final message from Elena. The words were written only for her, and the message revealed another secret about Adrian's past. The final secret from Elena's message changed the way Adrian Valenti saw his entire life. For decades, he believed power was the only way to protect the people he loved. He built his empire through fear, controlled enemies through strength, and believed a ruthless reputation was the price of survival. But the daughter he never knew taught him the truth he had ignored. The greatest legacy was never the empire. It was family. Months after the final battle, Adrian and Adriana returned to a peaceful lakeside garden in Washington state. Surrounded by waterfalls, wildflowers, mountains, and crystal-clear water, the quiet landscape felt like the opposite of the violent world that had shaped their lives. For the first time, Adrian allowed himself to imagine a future without war. He began dismantling the criminal operations that had controlled parts of the Valenti Empire for generations. The networks built through fear were removed, and the remaining legal businesses continued under Adriana's leadership. She transformed the Valenti name into something different, not a symbol of revenge, a symbol of rebuilding. The money recovered from hidden accounts and illegal operations was used to help the people who had suffered because of the conflicts between powerful families. Victims who had been ignored for years finally received support. Adrian knew no action could erase the damage caused by his past, but he also knew responsibility was the first step toward change. For the first time, the Don who once demanded loyalty from everyone else accepted accountability for himself. "I spent my life protecting a name," Adrian admitted. "I forgot I was supposed to protect the people behind it." Adriana heard the regret in his voice. Their relationship did not heal overnight. Too many years had been lost, and too many secrets had existed between them. But slowly, they rebuilt what they never had, a father and daughter, not a Don and an heir. Adriana created a new future for the Valenti legacy. She kept the successful businesses alive, while removing the corruption that had poisoned the family for decades. She proved that strength did not come from controlling others. It came from creating something worth protecting. Adrian watched her lead and realized the person he once feared would destroy his empire had become the only person capable of saving it. Eventually, he stepped away from the throne. The world expected him to fight until his final day, but Adrian chose something far more difficult. Peace. He left behind the title, the fear, and the endless battles for control. What remained was not the reputation of a ruthless Mafia don, but the story of a man who finally chose his family over power. The war that had destroyed two families for decades ended not through revenge, but through forgiveness and redemption. The woman Adrian once hunted because of her bloodline became the only person who could save his name and end the war his family created.